Welcome back. This time around we have Yarn versus Jose for the Silver Division recap video. It's a very interesting game. We have Jose's very strong rain team, not looking particularly rainy this week, versus Yarn's formidable sand team. So it'll be very interesting to see these two go up against each other. Yeah, I really had no expectations coming into this. Both pretty competent players. I really didn't know what to expect. I guess generally might favor rain a little bit over sand, just because rain is a little more powerful as a play style, and also water is super effective against a lot of the main stuff sand uses, but a Yarn also has a lot of things that are very good against water, like Dragazol and like Vileplume, and Tyranitar itself can take water attacks pretty well with the sand, boosting its special defense. So I wasn't really sure how this one would go. My bets were certainly on Jose, but we will see how it plays out. Make sure the speed's on right. Alright, so we get a lead for Dusclops versus Tyranitar. Not a bad lead for the side. Dusclops is usually bulky enough where I can take it from Tyranitar, and I think Tyranitar knows that and just decides to switch right out of there. Not a bad move, and Dusclops gets the Will-O-Wisp, so that was basically inevitable unless Tyranitar had like Substitute or Taunt, so good move from Yarn. The burn on Vileplume also doesn't hurt it too much. So here I might expect like a Sleep Powder, something to punch to switch in, right? Escavalier goes with Overcoat, but instead he goes for Nidoqueen. Sorry, Jose goes for Nidoking. Yarn does go for that Sleep Powder, but misses very sadly because that was the right play to make, and Jose really played right into it. So Nidoking is in a pretty good position. It's a very strong breaker, can get some great damage on Vileplume. Yep, Flamethrower. That's why I like Fire Blast though, as you can see, because that probably would have gotten the kill where Flamethrower would not have. And so Yarn does get the Sleep Powder. Always run Fire Blast, in my opinion. Now I know people can, people complain about the accuracy where it's like, oh, yes, but guess what? You'd rather get a one shot 85% of the time than not one shot at 100% of the time. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. It's up. Sometimes Flamethrower can make sense. Listen, and that Nidoking is honestly sometimes a good case for it. But I just like Fire Blast. Anyway, so Yarn goes for Strength Sap. Good move. Gets some health back. Obviously, doesn't get as much from Dusclops as they probably would have from Nidoking, but that's actually maybe not, because Nidokings can min-max, and Dusclops isn't always min-maxed with minimum attack. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Gets okay healing. Double dips. I don't know. Actually, he still got pretty good healing. It seemed to make sense, but like a Nightshade can undo that, so I don't know if that made sense. Jose goes for Trick Room. Not a bad move. Let's see. Brings in Escavalier, great Trick Room sweeper. Immune to Sleep Powder, right? So really just Leech Seed is all Vileplume can do. Well, we don't even know if that's Leech Seed. Brings in Type Null, good bulky wall, but it can get knockoff. It can get hit with knockoff. We don't know if that Escavalier is choice locked. I don't think it's choice banned. That Megahorn didn't look like choice banned. But Type Null is just so bulky where it can be hard to tell. And brings in Vileplume again. Probably going to try to solve with Strength Sap, I would imagine. If Escavalier is Swords Dance, it could really use this opportunity to set up. And that would be a big mistake on Yarn's part. So let's see. Oh, okay. So I wouldn't imagine Escavalier is Swords Dance if it's running away from Vileplume, because Vileplume is really nothing to hurt Escavalier besides Strength Sap, so I guess it was worried about getting stalled and probably doesn't have Swords Dance. Pelipper's a decent switch in. Doesn't get hit too hard by Vileplume. Can threaten it with a flying move here. Can U-turn out for pivoting? We will see what Jose does. Ice Beam, not a bad move. Super effective. Not as nice as Hurricane. I understand why Jose did it though, because Dragazol is a very likely switch in, and Ice Beam is a good move to have for that. And it still did good damage to Vileplume. Vileplume can't spam Strength Sap forever, right? Because Pelipper's attack will keep getting lower and lower, so Ice Beams will work just fine for Jose's purposes here, even if Hurricane would have gotten maybe even a nice KO there. Bringing in Tyranitar, obviously Ice Beam will not do as much here. It would be nice if they went for a U-turn or a Roost Jose. Let's see. Oh, nice U-turn, not bad. You kind of wish you could have the health on Pelipper for later, but the U-turn is great to just get the immediate pivoting here. Could go to Nidoking, wasn't asleep, but that's too bad. Can't really. Brings out Escavalier. Tyranitar has some fire moves, very unlikely to KO Escavalier, especially if it's Akka, unless it's like a Fire Blast versus like a non-Akka Escavalier, but or non-Assault Vest and non-Akka. Goes right to the Type Null again, very interesting. Close combat gets good damage. Shame about knockoff. No knockoff though, because it seems like if you could knock off, then you could get Type Null into a permanently crippled position, but this is fine too. Close combat did a lot of damage. This forces Type Null to rest if it wants to live. And Type Null usually wants to live. Let's see what it does. Goes for Shadow Claw. Alright, so it looks like Escavalier has gotten Type Null removed from the game. Very good job, Escavalier. Throwing a drill run, I wouldn't reveal my coverage there, but at the same time, again, not wanting more drops from close combat would risk Mega Horn's shoddy accuracy. And drill run could have been a read into maybe like Mawile, I guess. That can make sense too. Yeah, so I guess that's actually worth revealing. I think I'm being a little too anal there. Brings up Lycanroc, pretty nice here. Nice and fast with Sand Rush. Nidoking on a bad block, right? Resist Rock, and then forcing Lycanroc to lie stat on coverage, and it doesn't have anything super effective for Nidoking, I don't think. Maybe Psychic Fangs. But yeah, and just Nidoking's not really good with the sleep, so he can get us. He keeps it on 0 sleep turns. I guess that makes sense. Oh, we see the Z move come out from Lycanroc. Very nice. Splinter Storm Shards right into Chimecho from the battle. It just, yep, takes it right out. Very nice move. No idea what Chimecho's moves are. That would have been very nice because I've been over. Chimecho has a lot of moves, a lot of screens, a lot of recovery, a lot of Calm Mind, a lot of stuff can do. But it is just cleanly taken out by Lycanroc. So very nice. I don't know if I call that a read from Yarn, because that made sense against Nidoking too, which is probably their most powerful option against both. But it worked out very well for them, a read or not. Switches in Tyranitar to Crawdon. Obviously this play makes no sense, right? But I don't blame Yarn because they don't have a sensical play. Like, they don't have a good play for Crawdon there. Their best play is Vileplume, but I think they want to save Vileplume for later. Even though getting a chance to trigger effects for it against the very weak Aqua Jet. And this Crawdon seems to be banded. I could be wrong, but because Aqua Jet did a lot to Tyranitar, and also it's not taking Life Orb Recoil, which suggests to me that it's probably banded. So Vileplume would be a totally safe switch in Orange Rakazol here. Be curious to see which Yarn goes for. They actually go for Mawile. Makes sense. I think it's a bit of a waste of abusing the probable ban knowledge on here, but it's not bad at all, right? Because Intimidate, Mawile can be faster than Crawdon. It's a little risky since Crawdon usually run faster than Mawile, but I think if Yarn has speed on his Mawile, which it seemingly does from the way he's playing it, then that's not a risk. Something else he has to worry about. And he scares it out, goes for the substitute. I guess he could have gotten the sub against the Intimidated Aqua Jet anyway. I don't know how much that does to Mega Mall. Not Megaing there was pretty pointless. I get maybe wanted to keep Intimidate, but that was a bad move because Mawile's bulk without the Mega is really not good, and it could have taken more than it wanted from an Aqua Jet, even if it got a sub out of it. But the substitute play overall is fantastic, and as we can see from that, Yarn gets a Swords Dance. Very nice. Dusclops is insanely bulky, but Mawile's insanely powerful, so I think it's actually in a position to just take out Dusclops cleanly, especially if it reveals Knockoff. I was thinking Play Rough, but yes, Knockoff, just take it right out. Knockoff Mawile is fantastic. I see some people who don't always run Knockoff on Mega Mawile. It makes me scratch my head because on Mega Mawile is one of the best moves you can ever run. Doesn't need stab, just Swords Dance for Mega Mawile plus Knockoff with that good neutral coverage, taking rid of items. It's just like nothing. Everything is not only hit super hard, if it's not just dead, just loses their item and just becomes incapacitated from there. Fantastic move job, Mawile. Takes out Escavalier. Mawile's really fast. From here, Mawile's in a position to sweep, especially if it has Sucker Punch. Heck, I'm not even sure if it needs Sucker Punch. That would depend on the speed of use of Pelipper, because Nidoking's just asleep, right? So Pelipper's command said maybe set the rain, so Crawdon can get a stronger Aqua Jet. Not bad. Gets a nice Surf. Sadly does not kill. I'd be curious what the Pelipper's EVs are if it was more defensive or offensive, because it's good damage in Surf, but I imagine offense would have had the chance to kill, especially considering that this is looking like a fast Mawile, so it might not be as bulky as all Mawiles are. Crawdon comes out here, I'd imagine, or at least, yeah, I'm pretty sure Crawdon comes out here. Nidoking's just a waste. Goes for Aqua Jet. I think it might be in range for a Sucker Punch. No, +2 Sucker Punch probably wouldn't kill it here. Crawdon's not bulky, but I don't think a +2 would be enough for Sucker Punch just because it resisted. Yarn smartly goes for Vileplume, probably remembering the band, just remembering that Aqua Jet would be its go-to in that situation, but sadly that still does enough, especially because, again, that band in the rain does enough to 2-hit KO Vileplume here, but the Vileplume has done its job, to be honest. You don't want to lose. I guess Yarn's at a point where he doesn't need to do this kind of play, like, he's already kind of won, but it's a respectable play that makes sense. If for some reason you want to save Mawile, he doesn't really need to, but it makes sense, I suppose. It's less passive against Nidoking than Vileplume is, so it takes advantage of the sleep better, certainly. And I'd imagine he goes Dracozolt here. Excellent play. Resists the Aqua Jet with a Plum. Can probably take at least 2 or 3 of them. And can cleanly take it out. Let's see what he goes for here. Probably could be Bald Beaking, which would be unfortunate now King. But nope, makes the right read. The Draco Meteor, very nice. Probably doesn't matter because Nidoking had 0 sleep turns worn off. But Still very nice play from Yarn, and then the game is pretty much finished. There's no real... Caradon's Aqua Jet could take out Lycanroc and Mawile, but it's just, it would have to, Dracozolt would have to miss like the B Hustle, which probably isn't a Sand Rush, and just he has to hit a lot of Aqua Jets. As you can see, he needs to hit 2 more to take it out, and Dracozolt has no problem just landing that Bolt because it's probably not Hustle and just taking it out in 1 hit. So sadly, Caradon was so close yet so far there, but very good, very interesting game. Really liked watching it. Great from both sides. Jose and P Capri Sun team and Yarn of the Vegas Volbeats. Very nice match. I believe that is Yarn's first win for the season. So along with Gabe for this week's recaps, we've got 2 very nice comeback stories for our recaps. And I'm sure Jose will be fine potentially because he still has 2 more games to go, 1 win under the belt. And he's already faced 2 of the tougher players in the division, so I imagine he has pretty good chance of cleaning up 2 more wins and maybe getting a playoffs chance with that strong rain team of his. So this is a really cool match I wanted to highlight and really increased my anticipation and excitement for the rest of the season. One of those times I'm very glad to this Silver Division because I feel like the games themselves just play out very differently than from the seasons we've had in Draft League past. And they're very interesting to watch and see unfold. And it's honestly, I'm a little more hyped for Silver Division, just watching those games, I think, than Gold Division games on average. I feel like I haven't seen these players as much, I haven't seen these strategies as much. They're very interesting to watch and just see those interactions. And I feel like my expectations are flipped around, right? I feel like I can tell who's going to win more with Gold Division. Well, maybe not tell, that makes me sound a little, what do you call it? Too arrogant, but you know what I'm saying. You can just have intuition, and I feel like my intuition's right. With Silver, it feels like I have no idea. I'll think I know who's winning, and then I don't. But Gold has had plenty of good turnaround too, right? That game with Gabe this week, the reason I chose it, because I feel like there's a lot of unexpected shit going on there. So just fantastic games. Great season. Good job, everyone. And yeah, love this game. Great to see. Great to see these Pokemon doing work. I think Yarn used Mawile masterfully, demonstrated great knowledge of how to use Mega Mawile most effectively and most threateningly. And Jose, I think, made good plays too. I think maybe his sets could have used more work. I don't know. I mean, his plays are mostly on point. I do think not using Escavalier as a transition to Nidoking may have been a loss in the game. Because I'd just say, even if your Escavalier is not Swords Dance, so it can't have a Vileplume, and it gets screwed by Strength Sap, you could, hopefully, Escavalier's Overcoat. If it's not Overcoat, that was a misplay too. If you can switch Overcoat Escavalier into Vileplume, okay, it realizes it can't use Leaf Powder, it can't use any attack moves, because Vileplume is nothing for Escavalier, and then it's forced to Strength Sap, and then you can go for Nidoking once it's tempted to Strength Sap and not spam Sleep Powder, and then Nidoking gets free entry, as well as not using Fire Blast, but hey, maybe just, it could have just missed too, right? So maybe that was the, you know, the downfall there. But especially since I imagine Nidoking had Ice Beam, right? So it's kind of, because of Landorus, so I imagine it's kind of pointless to have Flamethrower. It's like, okay, if you want an accurate move from Vileplume, and guess what, one that's not weakened by your own rain, you can just use Ice Beam, and then if you want the extra power, you can go for Fire Blast. But I will stop harping on that. I feel like I've been too hard on Jose. Again, both sides played very well. Great game to watch. Loved it. See you guys next time.